Hi, I'm Laura and welcome to Sunday Morning Knits. So welcome back. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. This podcast is going to follow a very similar podcast to most knitting and fiber arts podcasts out there. Oh, my cat has the zoomies this morning. Maeve, very rude. What was I saying? Oh yeah, this podcast is going to follow kind of a very similar podcast to what's out there. So I'm going to start with some finished objects, then talk about my WIPS, then talk about my acquisitions. So it's been a while since I last recorded a podcast. It's actually been a while since I recorded at all. I think the last time I recorded a podcast was like 2 months ago. And the last time I recorded at all was about a month ago. So I have more finished objects, more WIPS, more acquisitions than I normally do in these videos, especially because it was the Christmas holidays, and for the most part my Christmas gifts were yarn. So without any further ado, let's start with finished objects. So one of my finished objects in January was my what is this called? Abrassos Slipover by Caidree. Now, the pattern was lovely. I had no issues with the pattern at all. I enjoyed knitting this, especially because I knitted on like massive needles. It was like size 17 needles, and the yarn is huge. So it didn't take very long at all. I started this in October of 2023, October 2023, and I knit most of it in like a day and then just put it aside for a couple months because I just didn't want to pick it up again. And in January I was like, there's like an hour left of knitting on this, I'm just gonna finish it. So I did. I finished it, I blocked it, it was lovely. I wore it once and it has pilled so badly. Now, I knew that going into this. I ordered the recommended yarn for the pattern, which is Wool in the Gang Crazy Sexy Wool. I knew that it was a very low twist, very soft merino, huge and chunky. And the moment I got it, I was like, this is not gonna last. Like, I knew that this was gonna pill super bad just immediately. So I have a backup plan for this yarn. I know that this garment is not going to last very long. It's very trendy, which is the reason I went for it actually. And the yarn's just not gonna last. So my plan is that once this garment has reached the end of its life cycle as a sweater, I'm going to reuse this yarn as stuffing for stuffed animals. I've never knit a stuffed animal before, but I have some really adorable ones saved on my Ravelry page that I can't wait to make. So my plan is that this vest will become stuffing for those animals, and I'm very excited about that. Once I got this yarn and realized that it wasn't gonna last super long, I was like, if I'm going to use this, I have to have a backup plan for how I can use the yarn, because I didn't want to waste it. I didn't want to just make this sweater and then immediately not be able to wear it or not want to wear it because of the fact that it wasn't gonna last very long. So I now feel comfortable wearing it, knowing that there's a backup plan for the yarn, and I'm very happy with this plan. So this is my very first finished object. It is also a garment, which if you know me is wild because I am absolutely an accessories knitter and not a garment knitter. But you'll notice a trend so far this year in my knitting, and that is that I am slowly becoming a garment girly. But yeah. Oh, I knit the size 2X. It uses, the pattern calls for 4 balls of the Crazy Sexy Wool. I only used 3, like I have an entire 4th ball left, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. But yes, I am a big fan. So this is my Abrassos Slipover by Caidree. Okay, moving this off to the side. My next finished object was actually a gift from my boyfriend. I knit him a, wait, let me actually get this set up properly. I knit him a Mussleburgh hat. This is using yarn that he actually picked out from a yarn store here in LA. We went together and he really loved this yarn. And I was like, well, I can absolutely turn that into a hat for you. So this is the Mussleburgh hat by Ysolda Teague. I have knit one of these before. I actually knit one for my dad for Christmas. And, pardon me, I really loved the pattern, and I really loved that it came with the ability to modify the pattern based on what you want, or what size your wool is, what gauge your wool is, etc. So I was like, I'm gonna just wing it, because I had already knit one. And it barely fits his head. I picked the wrong needles for this yarn weight. This is Aran weight yarn, and I picked like size 4 needles. So it's a really, really tight gauge. I measured my gauge when I was doing this pattern, and everything was fine, and then it came out like way too small. I also blocked the absolute, I can't swear on this channel. I blocked this so much, and it still barely stretched. So I'm kind of sad about that because it doesn't really fit his head. So I have been putting off ripping this out at least like some of the way, and then just adding like a ribbed cuff to the hat because I just don't want to rip it out, but I'm going to because I want him to have it. He really loves the color. I really like knitting for him, so I'm gonna rip it out, which is sad, but it's what happens when you knit sometimes. I love the pattern. The Mussleburgh hat by Ysolda Teague is obviously super popular for a reason. It's so good. I highly recommend it. My next finished object is actually a half finished object. So I have one half of a new pattern that I am designing coming out. I have not woven the knee ends yet, so that's what I'm tucking in back here. This is a new pattern that I have hopefully coming out soon. This is the pumpkin pie sock. I am using the Little Fibre Co pumpkin pie sock set from last year's Pie Day, and I have been holding on to this sock set forever because I wanted a pattern that really showed off the different minis, because so obviously the main colorway is like the pumpkin pie, but the minis are the 2 different toppings, so whipped cream and then toasted walnuts, I believe. And I could not find a pattern that I found showed off the minis well enough. So after a couple months of debating, I finally put together a pattern that I really like. I really like the top part of the sock here because I find the brown shows off the toasted walnuts really well, and then this cute little ruffle shows off kind of like how whipped cream looks like on the top of pie. So I'm very happy with how this turned out. It took me a while to do the ruffle or to decide on how to do the ruffle because I ended up settling on crochet and I didn't know how to crochet. So I had to learn how to do that, which is fine. Worked out really well. I'm very happy with it. I have a very simple slip stitch heel flap and gusset and then a contrast toe. I'm working on the second one right now and will hopefully be writing up the pattern fairly soon. My goal was to have this out and published by Pie Day, which is March 12th. No, March 14th. March 14th, obviously. But I don't think that's going to happen because I am a PhD student and I have a qualifying exam coming up. So I'm very busy and very stressed. So I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe I will release it in time for Thanksgiving this year. That actually might be a cute idea. We shall see. Either way, I'm very happy with this. I think the yarn is beautiful. This has become my like knitting in class project because I knit in some of my classes, and it's lovely. I'm really enjoying it. I really love this little ruffle. I can't wait to wear them. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to get some feedback on your thoughts about this sock. Thanks. I have one last finished object for you. I have been meaning to make this finished object for like a year and a half, and I finally sat down and did it, and it is a hot water bottle cover. I knit this with Sewrella Boucle in the color Birch, which is one of their winter tonals that I actually got last year, and they came out again this year. I don't know if they're still out, but it was available this year as well. Like I said, on the Boucle base, and I used just one of the free hot water bottle patterns available on Ravelry. The pattern was great. I had no problems with the pattern. You do a little bit of math to like make sure that it's going to fit your hot water bottle perfectly. I had trouble getting gauge with the Boucle. I had never knit with Boucle before, and I had a lot of trouble getting gauge, so I had to kind of like wing the pattern a little bit, but that was totally fine. Obviously I wasn't dead set on it being like 100% perfect. So you can kind of see like the hot water bottle through the like decreases here. But again, totally fine. I don't really mind. However, I discovered from this project that I hate knitting with Boucle. Holy cow, I hate Boucle. You can't see your stitches. It's a nightmare. It's not stretchy at all, which was really frustrating. I was expecting it to be stretchy. I mean, like the yarn itself stretches now, but when I was knitting, it barely stretched, which was weird and annoying. Pardon me, weird and annoying. And I just am so not a fan. I'm happy that I have this. I am going to use it a ton because I love hot water bottles. I have so much Boucle left over from this project that I don't know what to do with because I don't like Boucle. So we will see what I end up doing with that. Yeah. I'm glad that I have this though. I've been meaning to make a hot water bottle cover forever, so that's really nice. The pattern was great. I will link it below because I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this one. So this is my last finished object from January and February. Yeah. Okay, moving on to my WIPS. I have several. Yeah, I'm gonna start with this one because I am almost done. This is not something I've actually shown on the podcast before. I started this in January and I am almost done, which is a little bit crazy because it's a garment. Like I said, I'm apparently in my garment era, which is totally fine with me. This is my yin sweater by November Knits. So I cast this on in January and have absolutely flown through the project. I am using Knitpicks Aran in, I don't actually remember. I will put it in the description or like put it on the screen or something because I don't remember which one this is. But this is the undyed Okotex certified Simply Wool Aran by Knitpicks. I have knit with this yarn before and I absolutely love it. I find it doesn't necessarily last forever, but the sweaters that I've knit with in the past have held up pretty well. There's very minimal pilling. I enjoy the colors, they make me happy. It's quite soft. At least I find it soft for wool, especially pure wool, and it's a great price point. So I highly recommend this wool. It's great. I love it. And I think it's making a really beautiful yin sweater. I've done the body. I knit the body a tiny bit longer than the pattern recommends just because I wanted it to hit a little bit lower than it did in the pattern. Also, the pattern calls for 30 centimeters of positive ease. I didn't want that much, so I'm knitting it with 10 centimeters of positive ease, which means I'm knitting size 5. I realized I was showing you the back. This is the front. I have technically finished the ribbing portion for how long the pattern calls for it to be, but I've actually left it on cables because I think I might want to make it a little bit longer. I have so much of this yarn, so I am not worried at all about playing yarn chicken. I might want to make it a tiny bit longer. I haven't decided, so I've left that on cables while I knit the sleeves. I finished all of the increases for the sleeve yesterday. My friends and I were playing board games and I brought my knitting as usual. So I finished all the increases, all the decreases for the sleeve yesterday. I'm going to start the cuff fairly soon. I will do the other sleeve and then I will block this and decide if I want the ribbing to be any longer. I'm very excited. I'd love to have this sweater sooner rather than later. It is currently pouring in LA. We are having our second or third atmospheric river of the year. So it's chillier than normal and still not quite chilly enough for me, the Canadian, to break out a wool sweater, but I will use any excuse to break out a wool sweater in LA So like, I want to have this done sooner rather than later so I can actually wear it. Otherwise, this is going to get put on a shelf and won't be taken out until I go back home over Christmas, which would also be fine, but I would like an excuse to wear this. I'm really loving how the fabric feels. I was gonna say like super thick and chunky, but it's not. It's a surprisingly light sweater for an Aran weight, I think. I really love the folded neckband. This makes me so happy. I think it's just absolutely stunning. And of course the raglan details are just beautiful. I'm not a big fan of raglan on myself just because I have really sloped shoulders because I have really big traps. Really tight traps from, you know, dragging around a giant backpack for 14 years of post-secondary. I'm a very tired PhD student. But I love the raglan details on this sweater so much that I was like, I'm gonna do a raglan. I can't wait. I think next I'm gonna try a curved raglan just to see if that maybe suits me a little bit better. We shall see. Like I said, I'm just starting to be a garment girly, even though I've been knitting for like 20 something years. So I don't really know what style sweater looks best on me. So we're discovering it as I go. But yeah, this is my Yoon sweater. Oh, I forgot the size of needles I'm knitting it on. I realized I also didn't say that for any of my finished objects. Size 8 needles. So yeah, I'm very happy with this. I can't wait to be done. It's flying. It's been great. I love it so much. Okay, my next WIP I'm really excited to talk about. So I have been lucky enough to be selected to test knit the Pimpom Shawl for Laura Penrose. And this is my Pimpom Shawl so far. I absolutely love it. I realize this is not the greatest way to show it off, but it is getting quite large. So this is the best I can do at the moment. I have finished all of the increases of the main color and I am now doing a little bobble row. I just finished the bobble row actually. So I have a few more rows to go and then I will be doing scallops, which I'm very excited for. I've never done scallops before. I'd also never done bobbles before. So that was a fun, interesting learning curve. I don't like doing bobbles. I'm not a fan. They're very cute. I love the bobbles that Laura chose. They're little I-cord bobbles, which is super cool because I've like looked up ways to do bobbles before and it seems really hard and really complicated, but the I-cord bobbles weren't hard. They were just time consuming. So yeah, not a bobble fan, but they look so cute on the shawl. I absolutely can't wait to wear this. I'm a big fan of shawls, especially in LA, because it might be really hot outside, but then you go inside and people are like blasting the air conditioning. So a shawl can come in really handy for that. I'm a big fan. For this shawl, I am using the Barn Owl fingering weight yarn by Stony Creek Yarns, sorry. In the Barn Owl colorway. I absolutely love it. It actually matches my cat, which you may have seen. I posted on Instagram about that, which I think is absolutely adorable. And then I am using, for the contrast color of the bubbles and the scallops, a Quince and Co yarn that I have had in stash for so long, like years. And I'm very happy to be getting this out of my stash. So I don't remember the colorway because it's been in stash for so long. But yeah, I'm really liking how it's turning out. I would have rather used a dark brown yarn for the bobbles and the scallops. And I had like a tiny bit, but not enough. And I didn't want to buy any yarn for that part of the shawl because I had so much in stash and I was like, I really want to use this. I had 3 skeins of this Quince and Co yarn and I was like, it matches the yarn. It matches like the Barn Owl yarn. And I really want to get it at a stash. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm not super happy with my color choices, but oh well. I'm very happy to be getting that yarn at a stash. I really love the pattern. Laura has been absolutely fantastic. I love her podcast. I love her pattern so much. So I'm so honored to be chosen to test it for her. And the shawl is just absolutely lovely. I'm having so much fun knitting it. The test group is so lovely. It's just been such a fantastic experience all around. I'll be posting more around the release date about this pattern, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Oh, and I am knitting this on size 7 needles. My main colorway is fingering weight yarn, but I'm holding it double for a DK weight. The Quince and Co is actually a worsted weight, but I got gauge with it, so yeah. Yeah, it's garter stitch, so it's super squishy, and I just love it. It's great. I don't know why people hate garter so much. I think it's probably because it's the first stitch that people learn, so they like don't want to go back to it. I didn't learn garter stitch right away. I actually learned both knitting and purling, so I learned stockinette right away. So I love garter. I love how squishy it is. It makes me so happy. So I'm so excited to wear this. I can't wait. Yeah, I love it. Okay. My next finished object, or sorry, not finished object. My next, oh, this is my pumpkin pie sock. My next work in progress is the other half of the pumpkin pie sock, which I've already showed you, so we're gonna move on from that one. My next one is a new scrappy blanket that I have started. This is actually a crochet project. I was super inspired by MSC Makes to do a linen stitch corner to corner scrappy blanket. I saw this reel of Emma making a scrappy blanket and was like, I have to do this. I'm so excited. I just absolutely have to. I have so many fingering weight scraps because I am a sock girly, and I was like, this would be absolutely perfect. I am just so happy with how this is turning out so far. I think it's so cute. I love seeing all of my different scraps go into the blanket. I loved learning the new crochet stitch, so I don't know how to crochet. I am just slowly learning as I go, and this was so easy. Emma has an amazing tutorial. She also has a fantastic podcast, highly recommend. Go check it out. She's lovely. Lovely tutorial, super easy to follow. I learned immediately, picked it up very fast, and I am so excited to have this as a project, to have this as a blanket. I take blankets with me everywhere I go, like anywhere I am in my house. If I'm sitting down, I have a blanket with me. So this is gonna be a lovely addition to my blanket collection, and I can't wait. I'll do a little bit of a close-up, a little bit of B-roll so that you can see up close what this looks like. But yeah, I absolutely love it. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Oh, and my hook size is 2.5 millimeters, and my scraps are fingering weight. Who even am I? My next project is also a crochet project. I don't know if I have shown this on the podcast before, but I have been working on this for a couple months now. I think I just forget every time I do a podcast to talk about this. I don't know. Either way, this is my Summer Fade Hexie Blanket by Not a Crawl Crochet, inspired by Nitty Natty, who's doing a travel version right now. And this is mine. I decided to do a scrappy project instead of the same colorways or the same color pattern like the fade version that Not a Crawl Crochet does, just because I have a lot of DK weight scraps all of a sudden, and some yarn that I actually just wanted to get out of stash. So this is my Hexie blanket so far. I absolutely love this. It has been so fun and so easy to learn. I know that Not a Crawl Crochet has a tutorial for how to do the little granny hexagons on her YouTube, and she says at the very beginning that it's not like a tutorial of like for a complete beginner, but I was a complete beginner when I watched that and very quickly learned how to do a hexagon, so I think it totally works for a beginner. The only thing I knew how to do when I started this blanket was a chain stitch. That's it. So yeah, it's grown quite a bit since I started. I'm almost at lap size, and I have been tempted to keep it at lap size because I want this to be a desk blanket, like when I'm doing work at my desk. But I just love it so much, and I love how the colors are coming together, and I love how it looks, and I love how it feels. So I'm just gonna keep adding to this until I'm satisfied and or sick of it, which is quite possible, because I just adore how it's coming out. I think it's gonna be the perfect blanket. I love the weight. I think it's gonna be even more of a perfect weight for my lap once it's a little bit bigger. It just makes me so happy. I love it so much. So yeah, this is my summer Fade Hexie blanket. I love it. I can't wait. It's great. I have 2 crochet projects on the go. Who even am I? Something wildly new for me. Okay, I have 3 more WIPs. I have a lot of WIPs. Oh, this is one. I forgot to put this in my pile, but I'm gonna talk about this one first. So I am part of the Little Fibre Co, formerly the Yarn Addict Co's Yarn Club of the Month. And this month we got the most beautiful agave color, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it, but my cousin decided to cast on her very first Sophie Scarf, and I was like, I'm going to cast one on with you. So I am turning my lovely Little Fibre Co agave, it is the DK weight merino non-superwash, into the most beautiful Sophie Scarf ever. I have knit 2 Sophie Scarves in the past, and so far this is hands down my favorite. It is so soft and squishy, and I have so much yarn that I've actually done way more increases than you're supposed to for a Sophie Scarf, so it's going to be kind of like halfway between a Sophie Scarf and a Sophie Shawl. But I'm totally fine with that. I'm really enjoying it. I recently got this cute little row counter from Cozy's Cozy Comfy Knits, something like that, which is super adorable, and I love it, and it's making knitting this scarf so much easier. Yeah, I just think it's absolutely stunning. I will do some b-roll and show you what it looks like up close, because there's very slight variegation, which I love. I'm not a fan of like majorly variegated colors. I definitely prefer speckles over variegation, and when she announced that she was doing a tonal club, I was like, sign me up. I'm so ready for this. So yeah, I've talked about Sophie Scarves in the past, so if you're interested in those, go check out my previous podcasts. I'm just a general big fan of them. I think they're really cute, really sweet, and I especially love this one because, oh my gosh, it's just absolutely stunning. The colorway is just perfect. So yeah, this is my nth WIP of this video so far. The other WIP I have going on is also a scarf. It is the Elle Scarf by Caidree? Ozetta? Caidree. I have it in a little DPN holder right now just because I don't want the stitches to fall off. I'm knitting this in fingering weight held double. This is the fingering weight yarn that I actually picked up on my vacation. Well, it wasn't really vacation. I was doing summer school in the Netherlands over the summer, and I just hadn't decided what I wanted to make this yarn out of. And when I saw this pattern, I was like, oh my gosh, that's absolutely perfect. Because I tried knitting a pair of mittens with these with a beautiful little cable on them, and the cable wasn't showing up because the yarn doesn't have great stitch definition, but it has a lot of alpaca in it, so it's really, really soft. So I was like, I'd love to have this next to skin. I don't want to make a Sophie scarf with it because garter stitch wouldn't show up really well. So when I saw the Elle scarf, I was like, that's it. That's what I'm doing, hands down. So it's just like a stockinette tube for a while. I'm just gonna knit until I have just enough yarn to do the other half of the little decrease here at the end. And then I'm gonna have a beautiful little stockinette scarf with yarn that I picked up in the Netherlands. This is Katia yarn, which is new to me. I've never seen it before. I never saw it in Canada, and I haven't seen it in the US. It was the only sock yarn they had at the store that I went to in the Netherlands. I know that this is a big brand, and I would have preferred like hand-dyed or locally spun, something like that, but that's okay. They were tiny yarn shops, so I was very happy to support them in any way. and got to try out a new brand, which was really cool. Very soft, like I said. I can't wait. This is like I'm FaceTiming with my best friend and just need a stockinette tube to knit project right now. That's generally when I do most of the work on this scarf. So yeah, I'm very excited. I know that I'm knitting a ton of wool scarves and I live in LA. At some point I'm going to move out of LA into a colder climate, so I'll have all these beautiful hand knit wool scarves to wear then. I think that's the plan. Yeah, so my Elle scarf. And finally, my last WIP that I am working on is another sock. And this is actually another project that I am drafting, another pattern that I am drafting. It's not going to show up when I'm holding it like this, so I will do some B-roll so you can see. It is beautiful. Mussleburgh. I had to check the tag. Mussleburgh yarn in the color Wales Road. I mentioned to my best friend that I loved this color like in July of last year, and she got it for me for Christmas because she remembered. She is the best. I love her so much. She is also a knitter, so we have like knitting nights together. It's great. I love her so much. She's the best. So it's called Wales Road, and I am a Indo-Europeanist. So I do Indo-European linguistics, and one of the areas that I have taken quite a few classes in is Germanic languages. And long story short, the term Wales Road is a poetic way to call the sea, or to like refer to the ocean in Germanic languages, like Old Norse and stuff like that. And so I wanted a pair of socks that were kind of ocean inspired. So I am drafting a pattern using pearl bump rows and stockinette rows to kind of imitate the waves coming into shore. I will of course do B-roll and show you what I mean by that. I'm liking how it's turning out so far. We'll see when I get through the rest of the sock. It's not super long yet. But I am a big fan. This is absolutely beautiful yarn. It's turning into a beautiful sock. So yeah, this is my last WIP. I'm gonna save some of the other details for like the size of the needles for when I actually do another test, so I can make sure that everything is gauge swatched, because I didn't gauge swatch. And write it. I'll save this for when I write it up into a pattern and do a call for testers. But yes, I'm a big fan. I'm really loving this. Thank you, Shelby, for the yarn. Okay, now on to acquisitions. If you are not a fan of acquisitions, thank you so much for watching. If you are a fan of acquisitions, let's dive right in. Okay, I want to preface this by saying a lot of these were gifts. Pretty much all I got for Christmas was yarn. I know that I spend a lot of money on yarn that some people would consider to be a lot of money. It's my only hobby because I'm a PhD student. It's the only thing I spend money on. So it's what I love. It's all I do. So that's just a preface because I have quite a bit of yarn to show. I thought about not doing this section because I don't want people to compare their yarn stash to mine, because I know I have a fairly big yarn stash, and I don't want people to feel pressured to buy a lot of yarn because not everyone has the budget to do so. A lot of people have way more obligations than I do. I don't have any kids. I'm a grad student, so I only have time for one hobby. So please don't feel pressured looking at my stash. Also, please keep in mind that a lot of these were gifts, like from everybody for Christmas. Okay, with that, let's get started. I got quite a few single skeins for Christmas, so I'm going to show these. I think these were my single skeins. Oh, yeah, so these were my single skeins that were all gifts for Christmas. These fuzzy ones on this end here, these guys, were all gifts from my boyfriend and my boyfriend's mom for Christmas. They are hand spun and hand dyed in North Carolina, which I absolutely love. They know that I'm a huge fan of support local. So these are those 3 skeins. I haven't decided quite what I want to do with them yet. I think I'm going to make mittens out of this one, and I think I'm going to make a headband out of this one. But I haven't quite decided what I want to do with this one yet. This one is so beautiful. It's kind of like deep purples and wine red that are kind of like marled together. So they create like a low contrast variegation, which I am a surprisingly big fan of. Like I said earlier in the episode, I'm not a huge fan of high contrast variegation, but low contrast variegation is stunning. I love it. So yeah, I haven't decided what I want to do with this yet, but if you have any suggestions, let me know. Of course I could make socks with these, but we'll see. I haven't decided. Yeah, I absolutely love these. I cannot wait to knit with them. I think they're so beautiful. Oh, I think these were the 2 that my boyfriend picked out, and he knows how much I love blue, and I just think he did such a good job. Oh my god, he aced it. He killed it. I love him. This was a gift from my mom. I actually picked the skein out. We went to a yarn store together while I was home, and she was like, I will put that in your stocking, and I was like, sold. I have been looking for a like brownie green forever to make a pair of socks out of, and I saw this and I was like, oh, this is what I have been looking for years. And I was so happy. This is the colorway Taurus on the Rio Space by Mussleburgh, and I know the pattern that I want to make. It is in a book that I think I left at home when I moved to LA. It's a Knitpicks book. I don't remember what the pattern is called, but I know what the pattern looks like. So one of these days I might text my mom and have her mail me that book. We'll see. I'm very excited to knit with this. This is a gift from my boyfriend's mom and her partner. They went to Scotland over the summer and they picked me up a skein of Harris tweed yarn. The tag says 100% wool, Harris tweed, and that is it. I have been debating what to make with this for 2 months now, and I think I settled on a little tiny clutch. I want something super special, something that I can pull out and use on special occasions. It's not soft, so I don't want to make like a scarf out of this because I think it'd be too scratchy for next to skin. So I think I've settled on a clutch. I haven't decided what pattern, but I definitely want it to be a clutch, and I'm so excited to knit with this. I can't believe they thought of me on their vacation because like Corey and I hadn't been dating for that long. It was so sweet of them. So yeah, I'm very excited to knit with this. While I was in North Carolina, I purchased this yarn. I wanted to buy something locally dyed, handmade. So this is what I bought when I was visiting my boyfriend and his family over Christmas. I, again, have no idea what I'm gonna make with this, but it's so cute. I love the like raspberry color, makes me so happy. Again, low contrast variegation, so my thing. I'm trying to be a lot more conscious about what kind of yarn I'm buying, because I used to buy a lot of high contrast variegation stuff and then just didn't like the yarn when it was knit up. So low contrast variegation. I love pink, so I saw this and was like, oh yeah, it's a locally dyed yarn to where they live, so I'm very excited. I am very excited to show this off. I am part of the Paisley Knits Book Club Yarn Club of the Month. I'm getting the sock set, and this was January's colorway. It was the A Court of Mist and Fury, which is one of my all-time favorite book series. I absolutely adore it. And Collie and I have so many favorite books in common that when she announced this book club, I was like, I will sign up day one. Like, I'm so ready for this. I'm so excited. So this arrived in January. Oh, there's fuzz on it. And I am in love. I can't wait to knit with this. I just have to finish my pumpkin pie socks before I can cast these on. They make me so happy. I absolutely can't wait. So, as always, I'm a huge fan of Paisley Knits. I think her yarn is so beautiful and so stunning. I've ordered some, and it is on the way. So, such a big fan. Collie, you're amazing. All of your colorways are just absolutely stunning. And I'm obsessed. So thank you. You're great. The next, actually I'm going to show this off first before I talk about my sweater quantity. This is a skein of the Barn Owl by Stony Creek yarns that I was using for my Pimpom Shawl. I had 3 skeins of this. The Pimpom Shawl did not use the 3rd skein. I'm not going to say anything more than that yardage wise because yardage is still being calculated. But this is the Barn Owl, so I'm going to make socks with this, and I'm very excited to have a shawl and matching socks. I think it's going to be really cute. Okay, the next thing I have is the Lichen and Lace Beetroot worsted weight yarn. I have a sweater's quantity in this. I want to make I think it's sweater number 18 by Gregoria Fibers. I don't remember. I will put it below. This colorway is my favorite colorway in the world. I knit a pair of socks with this last year. 2022, Christmas of 2022. And it rapidly became my most favorite pair of socks, most favorite colorway, most favorite yarn in the world. This is their 100% superwash merino worsted. I wouldn't normally go for a superwash, but they didn't have a non-superwash merino, or if they did, I didn't like it for some reason. I can't remember. And I have been wanting a sweater quantity of this yarn for a year. My parents gifted me half, and my grandma gifted me the other half. I'm a bigger girl, so I needed 9 skeins of yarn to make the sweater that I wanted to, which I normally cannot afford on my own. So it was a Christmas gift. I think I pitched in a little bit actually in the end because I needed a lot of yarn as well. But I'm so grateful that they bought me this yarn for Christmas because I don't have words to describe how much I love this colorway. It is hands down my favorite colorway I have ever seen. I have no words. I am so excited to cast this sweater on. I'm going to cast it on as soon as I am done my Union sweater. And I can't wait. So thank you, Mom and Dad and Grandma. I love you all so much. I can't wait to turn this into a sweater. While I was in North Carolina with my boyfriend, I found some Mussleburgh worsted in the color olive that I really love, and they had 3 skeins, so I picked up the 3 skeins. I am not sure what I'm going to do with this yet. I haven't decided. I keep waffling between getting a couple more skeins and making a sibling sweater my size out of this and a cream color, or pairing this with a yarn that I have just ordered, and it's on the way, to make the pressed flowers shawl. I haven't decided. I will keep you updated. I will keep you updated. I'm not sure yet. We shall see. While I was at home in Calgary, I visited the Ancient Arts Fiber store. So this is also Ancient Arts, but I didn't pick this up at their store. I picked this up at Stash Yarn in Calgary, which is my favorite yarn store in the whole world. But this is Ancient Arts. This is the Socknado base with the color Prickled Pink on their Socknado fingering. I'm a big fan of the speckles and the slightly variegated yarn. I have 2 skeins of this. I don't know what I'm going to make with this. I was thinking a tank top. I went shopping with my cousin and she suggested a tank top or like a t-shirt or something like this, something like that. So that's what I'm thinking for this. If you have any pattern suggestions, please put them below. I'd love to hear. And I visited the Ancient Arts store with my mom and picked up 3 skeins of this. This is the Little Nettle Soft Fingering Base. It is 60% superwash fine merino, 32% nettle, and it is fingering weight. This is the colorway Ragdoll. I felt this and was like, oh my gosh, this is so soft. And the man who was there was like, oh, it's because it's nettle. And I was like, what is that? So he gave me the whole rundown on what nettle is. And he said that it's super lightweight and super cooling because the fibers are hollow. And I was like, you know what? That's perfect because I live in Los Angeles. So I picked up 3 skeins of this. I am going to make the, it's a petite knit pattern. It's the Friday sweater, I think, with this. It's a fingering weight sweater. I think that was my plan for this. I have it written down on my Ravelry and I'll put it below. And I'm super excited. I love the Ragdoll colorway. I've actually had this before in a different base for a pair of socks. I adore it. I think it's so cute. And it's much softer on the nettle because of the way that the fiber took the dye than it is on the other sock base that I have it in. So I just love it. I'm so excited. I think it's beautiful. I can't wait. Oh my gosh. And it's so soft. Like, oh, if you ever want soft yarn that's like half plant fiber, half wool, try this. It is just amazing. I'm not generally a huge fan of plant fibers, but this is amazing. I highly recommend. I have 2 acquisitions left to show you. At the end of, oh, I lost this game. At the end of last year, Little Fibre Co had their secret sale. And I am such a huge fan of Little Fibre Co. If you remember from one of my previous podcasts, all I did was gush about how much I loved their merino base. So when I found out about that sale, I was like, I have to, and saved up to buy some yarn from that sale. And here it is. They had 4 skeins of their Blackberry colorway on their CFC organic merino fingering non-superwash base. And I saw this and I was like, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So I picked this up. I have a pattern in mind, but I can't remember what the pattern is. As you can tell, I did not finish preparing for this podcast because I have so much work to do. I have a qualifying exam in 3.5 weeks. So that's pretty much all I've been doing. So I didn't have time to fully prepare. I have a pattern in mind for this. I'll put it on the screen or link it below or something like that. I don't remember, but 4 skeins was the perfect amount for it. It was a fingering weight pattern. I love this so much. It is so beautiful. I love Little Fibre Co so much. They are hands down my favorite company. Their yarn is just incredible. The colorways are stunning. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. So I picked this up during their sale and I couldn't be happier. I love it so much. And finally, I have a set of little DK minis. I think these are DK minis. This is the Take Flight set by Hue Loco in their January colorway, which was Barn Owl? Snowy Owl? Oh, it just says Owl set. Because they're doing different birds for every month of the year. And I saw January's and I was like, oh, those colors are so cool. So, sorry about all the crinkling. I picked this up. It arrived in January. I really love it. I think I'm going to make a shawl out of it. Not a Sophie shawl like I've been knitting lately, but I think I want to maybe come up with my own pattern and fade them all. So we'll see. I think that's my plan once I'm done my Pimpom Shawl test knit. But yeah, I'm really loving it. I love how all the skeins look. I love how it turned out when it arrived. I think it looks great. So this is my last acquisition of January. I think that's actually it. Oh, sorry, lots of crinkling. I think that is it for everything that I wanted to talk about today. This has been a longer episode than normal, so if you have stuck around this long, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I would love to hear what you have been working on lately in the comments, so please let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more content like this. I really appreciate all of your support. So thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of your day and happy knitting. Bye.